What is happening, everybody? MG here, MG Covers, bringing you a brand new sports handicapping video. Title of this video is my NFL power rankings for week 6. We're going to do what we did the last couple weeks. A lot of you guys have really commented a lot about these videos, like the comparison between my NFL power rankings for top 5 compared to ESPN's top 5. We'll tell you why that's important in a second. If this is your first time watching my videos, hey, greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Ton of growth on the channel. I know I say that every time, but it's like greatly appreciated you guys supporting the channel. A ton of content available for free simply by subscribing. And also, too, if you follow me on Instagram, you get a ton of content by following me there, because I'm going to talk about this Kansas City game here in a second. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's absolutely free to do that. You get a ton of value simply by following me there. It's MGCovers, covers spelled with a Z. If you look in the link of this video, you'll be able to see that link, and you can add me on Instagram and Twitter as well. All right, so we're going to reveal my power rankings for week 6 for NFL. We're going to compare that to ESPN, but let's talk about last week. The reason I'm laughing is about Kansas City, Vegas. We'll get to that game in a second. Gave you guys a strong lean on the Giants. I told you guys Giants were very undervalued. They are a really, really good football team. You're going to see that in my power rankings. Green Bay, as long as Aaron Rodgers is there, I mean, they're not a bad football team, but they're going to be way overvalued. They were in this game. And ironically, the line moved against the Giants there. That was one of the reasons why I stayed away from it. But Giants came back late, won that one. The other lean I gave you guys was Washington. I told you Washington was very undervalued. They're a good football team, just turning it over. Lo and behold, that's how they lost the game. They had 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. I have no idea what the win probability was at that point. If you watch some of the guys that maybe live wager or follow that on ESPN, they'll give you like an updated win probability. It had to be first thing. I think they had like 30 seconds to go in the game. They needed a touchdown, so they were down by 4. 1st and goal at the 2. So win probability had to be close to 90%, if not higher than 90%. That's probably what it was, somewhere around there. But they should have won that one. They didn't. And then, of course, the game last night. I talked about this on Twitter a lot. Kansas City is just way overvalued. Public loves Kansas City for whatever reason. I'm not saying they're a bad football team. They're just extremely overvalued. And this is very important. All these things that I talk about and teach you guys on my channel about line movement, the books understand this and could probably explain it better than I could. And I posted this on Instagram. If the books were so concerned about, like, everybody was playing KC, this is sportsbookreview.com. They had the consensus 58% of the wagers were on Kansas City. I think one consensus I looked at was like 70% of the tickets were on KC. But if the books were concerned about having that much liability on KC, wouldn't the line move to -7.5, even to maybe -8? Well, it didn't. Why didn't it move? Because the books were not concerned about that. In a lot of ways, people call this the trap game. And that's basically what it was. Vegas played that one really close. They could have won the game. My actual line, if you're not a client, we had Kansas City -3. So my line definitely a lot closer than the books line. And the way I like to play these games, if I want to make sure, because generally speaking, and what I've seen in the years of doing this with my power rankings, if the team is an underdog via my line and they're underdog at the books, chances are they're going to lose the game. They did, but I generally like to play teams that are favored via my line and when they are a dog at the books. But still, my line was much closer than what the odds makers had in that one. So anyway, enough about last week. Let's see if we can dive into, let me pull up week 6 here. Okay, so let's take a peek at it. We'll just dive right into it. Let's look at ESPN's power rankings. I love Kansas City. Kansas City's number 1. And that's the reason I'm showing you ESPN power rankings, because they're not using any stats for these power rankings. It's generally their perception of who they think is the are the best 5 teams in the NFL, and generally that's going to run parallel with how the public thinks. And if you understand how the public thinks, you're way ahead of the game, because how the public thinks and perceives is how the lines are going to be set. So Kansas City's number 1, Buffalo's number 2, Philadelphia's number 3. I can't believe they have Philadelphia at 3 there. Minnesota at number 4. I don't get that one at all. And Dallas at 5. That sort of makes sense to me, and I'll talk about where Dallas is in my power rankings. So that's ESPN, Kansas City, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Dallas. And this week, we only have one team in common. My power rankings has Philadelphia, the number 1 team in NFL, followed by Arizona. That was another one I told you guys. Arizona, very undervalued, and they had a chance to win their game as well. They didn't win, but they covered. Very undervalued team, in my opinion, statistically speaking, which if this is your first time watching my videos, my power rankings are statistically driven. There's no bias factored in. It's basically A plus B equals whatever, and whatever the power rankings say, that's what we go with. And the reason you want to have a statistically driven line, because this over here that you're looking at, this ESPN's line, ESPN's power rankings, the sportsbook line has bias factored into it, whereas my lines are statistically driven, which is a better indication of the most probable outcome. Arizona number 2, Cincinnati number 3, Cleveland number 4, and of course the Giants, we already talked about them at number 5. So let's take a look at how that's going to shake out. Oh, I mentioned Dallas here. I'll go ahead and tell you. Dallas is number 5 ESPN. I think Dallas is number 6 via my power ranking. So they're a pretty good football team, doing really well. Turnover margin. Hard to believe they're doing that with a backup quarterback, but they are. Scroll down here. We have Cincinnati at number 3. That's a pretty solid play there with against New Orleans. You can see everybody's jumped on that. The line opened at -1, so it's already moving closer to my line. Obviously, Cincinnati's favored in that one. Yeah, Buffalo, Kansas City. This is a good example of what I call recency bias. Look at this Kansas City line here. It opened up as a pick whenever that line came out, maybe 2 weeks ago. Now it's +3, +2.5 at some books. Recency bias. If Kansas City had blown out the Raiders last night, let's say they win 42-10, I believe Kansas City would probably be favored. I mean, they're at home. So the fact that they did not, I think that's what you see, recency bias, and why they're underdogs in this spot here. Yeah, interesting game, Dallas and Philadelphia. That's probably a good line with the books. The books come down some, -6, Philadelphia open. Now it's down to -4. That opening move favors Dallas there. And there's Arizona right there at -2.5. Not a lot of movement there since the opening line. So anyway, that's my power rankings for this week. Hope that helps some. If you want access to all my power rankings for all sports, including college football, it's $49.95 per month. And you also get access to power rankings for soccer right now. We have 12 leagues for soccer that you can get lines for. If you want access to everything I just mentioned, in addition to, and get my plays as well, that's $99 a month. And if you want to join for the entire year, that's $4.99, gives you access to everything on the site. And hey, good luck this week, week 6 NFL season. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.